My name is Dean. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is July 24th, 2026, and Bitcoin has lost the $65,000 level. Is it now bearish? Is it now looking for much lower targets? We're going to look at that. We're also going to look at what to expect for the weekend, right? On Fridays or Saturday mornings, I typically publish a weekend outlook video. This is such a video because it's Friday at the time of recording around 10 a.m. All right, 10:30 a.m. actually. So we're going to look at Bitcoin, but we're actually going to focus on altcoins. I'm going to try to not make this video too long, but I'm extremely excited as to what I'm seeing on the altcoin charts. And many, if not most market participants, most analysts are completely missing what's going on in crypto right now. Everybody's hyper focused on Bitcoin small time frame price action. But the actual story in crypto right now is in what's happening in the altcoin charts. The altcoins are actually what makes crypto popular. Bitcoin's great. It's, amazing. But why is everybody so attracted to cryptocurrency, right? Why is it so why does it go so viral every single time? Like, why is it still a talking point? It's not necessarily because of Bitcoin. It's because of altcoins. It's because of the gains made in the altcoin space. And it's it's unlike anything we've ever seen in any other asset class. And this is actually the story here. I'm going to talk about Bitcoin for sure, but I'm also going to talk about altcoins and why you should be paying attention to altcoins, particularly this weekend. So if all that sounds interesting to you, then watch till the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get into it. All right, Bitcoin. Is it breaking down? Is it going to zero right now? No. We lost 65K. And remember what I said in the previous video. I said 65K represents, at this point in time, it represents our previous resistance. And now we want to stay above it because it would represent support turn or previous resistance turned new support, right? But again, it's not about the price, it's about the price action. What you want to be looking at here is, even in this scenario, let's assume there's validity to what I've drawn up here. I've mocked up a range, right, lasting 2+ weeks, and you can see here the price ping-ponged within that range, hit the midline, went up. It looks like we've come back to the midline, okay? 65K, even in this, slightly rising resistance, represented the top of the range, right, at this point, and staying above it was pretty much our way to say, all right, we are now finished with whatever was inside of the range. Now we're going to retest the top of the range as support and then move forward. But if we come back to the midline, does that invalidate any bullishness whatsoever? Absolutely not. We've seen it time and time again. I talked about even the possibility of it. I didn't say it was probable. I said it was possible in a couple of videos ago, but that's neither here nor there. What's important is, structurally, we're still very bullish. Structurally, you're still dealing with higher highs and higher lows, even forgetting even, all of this, right? Forget even, the past 40+ days of price action. Just consider the past couple weeks of price action here. It's a higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. You're putting in consistent higher lows from the beginning of the range, right, on July 6th, right? So just basic technical analysis, looking at, I don't want you to hyper focus on a price. It's always best to look at the price action, because prices usually derive from trade theses, and then you're kind of, you have a particular mock-up of what you think the chart is doing, and that could be right, could be wrong, but it's not, you want to be flexible. You don't want to be wishy-washy. You don't want to waffle. Oh, I'm bullish, I'm bearish, I'm bullish. No. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying, regardless of the smallest time frame trade thesis being correct or incorrect, the higher time frame analysis usually tends to hold. And the general ideas, the concepts that underline your high time frame analyses, that's what you should stick to. And everything else, kind of adapt it. And again, I know what this sounds like for people who are casually browsing Bitcoin analysis or altcoin analysis, or not altcoin analysis, because I don't really do proper altcoin analysis on YouTube, but let's say, people who are casually browsing YouTube crypto analysis. Oh yeah, you got it wrong. He said 65 and that's invalidated. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And yeah, fine. To each his own. But this is why it's important to look at the substance and watch entire analyses, so you can substantiate, okay, where do these conclusions come from? Why is he bullish? Why is she bullish or bearish? And then, kind of understand if things change, which, in this business, in charts, things change literally all the time. It's dynamic. It doesn't necessarily mean a complete invalidation or a discarding of the trade thesis. The trade thesis is what? The trade thesis overall is that this is a reversal pattern, and all of this is an accumulation pattern. If you understand the crux of what I've been talking about for Bitcoin in the past month and a half, it's been that what you're seeing here is an accumulation channel, right? So basically it's a place where we can assume, or we can envisage, we can expect the prices to go up after consolidation from here. That's number one. Number two, I talked about how that would happen. Okay? So even if I don't get the how exactly correct, please understand, if it's an accumulation, my trade thesis wins, and I probably win my trades based off of that analysis. Very important. Don't miss the forest for the trees. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't be lost in the minutia. The minutia is, all right, what are we doing here? Is this a double bottom? Is this sign of strength? Wyckoff phase D sign of strength? Are we putting in some sort of complex corrective up into the right thing that pops up and out? That's the minutia, and we can talk about that, and that's all well and good. So let's talk about the minutia, and we're on the 4-hourly time frame. Until and unless Bitcoin breaks this midline, you should be bullish. That's basic technical analysis. There is nothing bearish about Bitcoin until and unless this midline right here, which at present is around 61.6, 61.7, until and unless that breaks, one should be bullish, because Bitcoin is quite literally showing strength for the past month and a half and is above the point of control of the past 46 days of price action, 47, 48 days, however long. Okay? The other thing, let's say, and I noted that we have a bunch of higher lows here, right? That's a really big deal. Higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher highs. Big deal. You don't want, I talked about this before, you don't want really acute channels because those tend to break down to the origin and then move back up. You don't really want that. But this right here is a slightly up into the right channel. And as long as it's slightly up into the right, you do not run the risk, too much risk. There's always some risk, but there's not too much risk of this having to break down because it's just so acute in its pitch. All right, so that's the other thing, right? Now, when you look at this, and I would say, if I had to do this again, I would delete this. I would redraw this, and I would do something like what I'm gonna show you right now. You know, new information. I reassess. You can always reassess. There's nothing wrong about reassessing. It's not waffling. It's not waffling if you reassessed and refined. There's nothing bad about that. But you want to always have conviction in your reads. And if your reads are consistent, there's no reason for you to go back and forth and say, I'm bullish, I'm bearish, I'm bullish, I'm bearish, I'm bullish, I'm bearish. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so this is how I would refine my read here. I would say that Bitcoin, since the 6th of July, has been in this channel now. Okay, the previous channel doesn't work as well. And so I'm going to redraw a channel, something that works better and that more faithfully represents the tops and bottoms that I'm seeing on my chart. That being said, I do have in my mind, it's not beyond my understanding that this move is possible, right? Bitcoin back down to 61.7 and then bouncing off from there. But I'm still not bearish if Bitcoin retests the midline. I'm not at all. Okay? That's a possibility. I don't know if that is necessarily what's happening, because right now we're at the support of this 2+ week channel. It could be. It could be. And that would still be quite bullish. And after that, I would then expect a larger move out of the channel straight away and making a higher high yet again, and then ultimately retesting 65, the top of the larger channel. Okay? So this is what I mean, let's say this for Bitcoin, and again, I prefaced the entire video in saying that Bitcoin's really not the story. All of this stuff that we're talking about in the small time frame, not the story. I know a lot of people like to scalp, and that's just because people are impatient. People like, trading intraday time frames, and waiting for larger moves requires a lot more patience, and it's not as enjoyable, especially during a bear market. I get it. So I'm going to respect that and say, it's important, but not really, especially with regards to what altcoins are likely doing. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. So we're definitely in some sort of final capitulative move. This is definitely impulsive. I'll say that. I'll say this also, that whatever's happening here, if this ends here, or if this ends here, you're going to see a big bounce. You're going to see volume come in. So let me just turn on my volume indicator. Haven't seen volume come in. I'm on the 4-hourly time frame. If I haven't seen volume come in at the bottom of this channel now, let's see, on the hourly, no, I haven't seen volume come in. It might be looking to retest this 61.7 level, okay? And that's not the end of the world by any means, right? That's a 3%, 3.5% drop from here. If it does, that's great. You're likely looking again at a move back down to 61.7 and then quickly up to 71 from there. So even in Bitcoin's case, it's not bearish, right? You're looking literally at a 15% move. I would say that that is more likely than I'm sorry for this not being, you know, I do these with you. I do these with you. I work through it with you. I feel like that would be more interesting than my just trying to figure it out beforehand and then kind of presenting it. And yeah, so this is my entire process. So I'm torn between this right now and a reversal here. I'm favoring the reversal around 61.7 right now at this immediate time, only because we've reached this level right here and I don't see strength. I don't see a bounce. I don't see demand. I don't see the asset being bought up immediately. Okay. Could be wrong, but that tells me that it just wants to come down further because the actual level of demand is down here around 61.7. Okay. But yeah, that still, again, doesn't make Bitcoin bearish. If anything, it just sets Bitcoin up for the bigger move to the upside to 71. So again, a bearish retracement of 3.5% is actually quite bullish in the larger scheme of things. This is, again, why you want to be always mindful of the larger picture. A small retracement may mean a much more bullish outcome, even in the same time frame. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing now. Given that we lost this level, I don't see us bouncing from here. I see us coming down to 61.7. If I'm being honest, that's just what I'm seeing. Okay? So yeah, lost 65. This likely means that what you're seeing here is kind of an SOS, but these SOSs, you know, they also come down and retest the base. You know, they're rising wedges. And upon retest of the base, I see a big bounce to 71. That's what I see in Bitcoin. I would not be surprised if that happened going into the weekend. Okay? Because at the end of the day, even if you do hit that move to 71 over the weekend, guess what? Back when the market opens back up late Sunday, early Monday, you're right back where you started at 65. You create no CME gaps. So I kind of like that. That's what I like. If I had to choose, my preferred outcome for Bitcoin's price action in the immediate short term is that. Okay? So, we did, you know, just to wrap this up, we did indeed get a consolidation at the top of the range. It just didn't look like what I thought it looked like. We had been putting it in for the past 2 weeks. That is a very strong consolidation and a very nice sign of strength, Wyckoff sign of strength. All right, that's Bitcoin. It's not that important. It's not that important because, as I said, down, up, right back down to where you started. That's not the story. The story is this. And this is what everybody knows crypto for. I mean, yes, Bitcoin is cool. Bitcoin is tantalizing. Bitcoin is attractive. Bitcoin is great. But people don't go viral. People don't, the popularity of an asset class is usually directly linked to its massive upside and its strong parabolic moves. It has the streets talking. It has everybody talking. It has the suits talking. It has moms and dads and uncles and aunties talking. It has people who know nothing about the asset class talking. It has pros talking. It has people in other asset classes, professional investors, amateurs. It has everybody talking because everybody wants the piece. This is the modern day gold rush. Last time we saw sustained gains. Okay, again, I want to qualify this. This is extremely important. You should not just look at any old green candle to say that was alt season. I'm qualifying an alt season per this other chart as a move that gave you sustained upside, not just up and then all the way back down. Sustained upside. This is sustained upside. This is sustained upside. All right. So the last time we got sustained upside was in 2023. Okay. That was in June of 2023. And the time before that was in March of 2020. In March of 2020, Saturday, March, on a Saturday, I think it was Saturday the 14th. Sorry, I'm on the daily time frame now. Yeah, Saturday, March 14th, 2020. That began a larger move. And it doesn't actually matter. I'm not going to measure the move because it doesn't matter. Because this is the others chart and it is an imperfect indicator and, whatever. It's not that important. All that's important is that this is a high time frame analysis of an altcoin indicator that shows sustained impulsive momentum that happened in March of 2020, and it started on a Saturday. This is what I want you to take home. In most financial markets, in most asset classes, internationally, right? You don't get significant moves on weekends. I go out of my way to make these weekend outlook videos because in my back testing, I see and I have seen significant moves that happen on a weekend. And this may be unique to crypto, as crypto is a 24/7 market, one of few in the entire world, maybe the only one that is 24/7. Yes, it's linked to traditional markets, and so you do see a lot more activity during the weekday, especially in Bitcoin and the larger assets, and more activity that actually holds. Typically, you see a bunch of rangy slash net zero price action in Bitcoin on the weekends, just like I showed, right? Let's say we go down to 61.7, we go all the way up to 71, we come all the way back down to 65 when the market opens up again. That's, typical weekend stuff. it, net zero, nothing happened. It's like nothing happened, right? You're going into the weekend, you come out of the weekend, it's like nothing happened. You got some volatility, but it's net zero. This is not necessarily true for altcoins. So March 14th, 2020, you had a sustained move, and that sustained move, this is more something that I think is relevant. It lasted about a year and a half, okay? 428 days. That's significant. It started on a Saturday, all right? The other move, the previous move, again, I'm not just citing any random green candle move. I'm not saying, oh, it went up and then it went down. No. I'm talking about a significant move that held. It didn't just correct upon itself. The last time that happened was in 2023 in June, right? So almost exactly 3 years ago, right? And a little more than 3 years ago. And that was on June 10th. That was another Saturday. So the past two sustained large moves in crypto, right, in altcoins, happened on a Saturday. That ceases to be, obviously, statistically, we don't have enough, of a sample size to establish statistical significance there. But that, to me, is no longer arbitrary, no longer coincidental. When I'm looking at the past, 4,000 days of price action, looking for sustained uptrends, and I just so happened to see only two, and those two started on a weekend. Okay, why do they start on a weekend? I don't know. Is it because there's thinner liquidity in markets, and so it allows for altcoins to move? I don't know, maybe not. It doesn't really matter. What matters is the data is showing us that weekends can be very fruitful, especially for altcoin moves. So Saturday, March 14th, Saturday, June 10th. Saturday, March 14th, 2020. Saturday, June 10th, 2023. Big moves. So the last move I showed you, 420 plus days. This move lasted 275 days. Again, this is just an indicator. This is not really like in an actual altcoin chart, but what's significant is that it's showing a sustained trend. A sustained trend that started Saturday and it didn't end for months, if not years. Now, the other thing I want to show you, last thing I'm going to show you is this. And this, again, I do not believe is coincidental. And I study GAN analysis. GAN talked about this ad nauseum. There's a cycle to things. Things happen in cycles, and you're typically going to see regular timing, or how do I say this? You're going to see time, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like time will be regular, or there will be, I can't find the words. I have the concept in my mind, but it's basically like you're going to see symmetry in time. You're going to see some order in the timing of things. So the first example, so the last two examples of, pure impulsive price action in the altcoin space, where you had sustained moves, right? Both of them happened on Saturdays, right? The first one happened in March of 2020. And between the first one and the last one that happened, right? So the March of 20 and the June of 2023, you have about 1,180 plus days, right? Between June of 2023, June 10th specifically of 2023, and today you have almost exactly the same amount of time, 1,140 some odd days, right? So this period, both times, 1,100 and some odd days, 1,100 and some odd days, it is not an accident. The last time, it's almost like there is a periodicity, there's a timing to these things, right? Happened once, April or March of 2020, 1,180 plus days later, it happened again. 1,140 plus days later, maybe it happens again. The period here is similar, plus or minus some days. Okay, obviously the end value, the sample size is too small to draw serious statistical significance and say, oh, this is a pattern. But it's something. It's very rudimentary. And in these very immature markets, which, you know, the altcoin space is in crypto, you can't really draw too much strong periodicity, because, you know, if you read Gann, if you study Gann, he was studying markets spanning hundreds of years, 100+ years, right? He was studying grain, wheat, barley. He was studying all these markets that people before him had been studying, and these charts that he was studying and finding patterns in were 100+ years. And that's how he found, with a high degree of statistical significance, the patterns that he developed his thesis or his strategy on. In crypto, we don't have that luxury, right? We have 16 years with Bitcoin, and we have so much less with altcoins. So you have to take any kind of periodicity, any kind of seasonality with a grain of salt. But this is something. It's something, all right? So I think if you're any good crypto analyst, should not necessarily be overly focused on Bitcoin right now. You should really be focused on altcoins, because the outsized returns, and I published a crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation update for my clients this morning, first thing, and I mean the moves that we're seeing, they're jaw-dropping. In one move, you undo years worth of losses. It's amazing. It's amazing. But that's the type of opportunity that, you know, people like savvy analysts are looking towards, not like, you know, what's happening on the 4-hourly with Bitcoin, because yeah, Bitcoin's important, but like within the context of things, don't lose the prize, right? And here we have the proof in the Bitcoin dominance chart. Remember, when Bitcoin dominance goes down, this is when that altcoin party starts. When it really kicked off, when you really see the outsized gains, when you really see the things that make, you know, the 8 o'clock or 4 o'clock or whatever o'clock news run a segment on crypto and what it's doing. This is it. When people who, you know, aren't in the space, aren't exposed to the space, they're not talking about it, they start calling you and asking you because you're exposed and you watch these stupid videos. And they're like, hey, are you still doing that crypto thing? Like, what should I do? What should I buy? Like, that happens when this chart goes red, this Bitcoin dominance chart. And right now, I've talked about this, we're likely seeing this come down. And this coming down, going into a weekend, should excite the hell out of everybody, because I know most traders in the world, most analysts in the world, they do all their preparation for the 5-day work week. And once Friday comes along, they start undoing their, you know, shirts and getting more relaxed, you know, reducing their risk, minimizing their position, if not closing their positions entirely. And you know, they're preparing for the following week. In crypto, we should do the opposite, especially if you're exposed to altcoins. Look at this right here on the daily time frame. You're looking at a rejection at the midline, just like I talked about. right? You're looking at a rejection at the phi ratio of this trend, just like I talked about. If this does indeed end up going down, don't be surprised if it ends up going down over the weekend, and over the weekend we get a big red candle in the Bitcoin dominance chart. Guys, that is my update. This is why I told the clients this morning, we've been waiting for this moment for 1,100 plus days. That is my explanation. Clients, if you have any questions, just email me. But don't forget, everyone, if you got value from this video, from the analysis, like, share, and subscribe. I know it was long, but I think it was worthwhile. If you're looking for my full service offering, my all my services, rolled up into one, that's my crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service. And you can sign up to that using the pinned comment, or using the buy me a coffee link in the description below. That's basically where we go over every single last asset that you own, and go over strategies, what's bullish, what's bearish on a high time frame, what levels we should look at to sell and then buy back again to rotate profits, all that stuff. That's crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation. Again, the sign up is the buy me a coffee link. I have also single asset analysis. It's less of an investment. It's for people looking for, hey, Dean, what do you think about Hypecoin? What do you think about Dogecoin? What do you think about Litecoin? What do you think about SPX? I actually did a client analysis, single asset analysis on XPX, and I turned that into a sample, because people keep asking me, can you give us a sample? I can't give you a full sample with signals and everything, because I mean, it's just too valuable. If you think about it, it's just too valuable. So I had to take out all the client identifying information from that sample, as well as any signal information. But that particular session lasted like 27 minutes, but they typically range 20 to 30 minutes, something like that. In any case, you can make your order for any asset. It doesn't even have to be a crypto asset, and within 3 to 8 hours typically you get that pre-recorded analysis for that asset. Is it bullish or bearish on a high time frame? What are the levels on a small mid time frame that you're looking at? So on and so forth. Anything I can see in the chart, I'm going to talk about. So that's single asset analysis. And until we get that big move in altcoins, maybe it's this weekend. So the whole promo for single asset analysis maybe ends this weekend. I don't know. But until we get that, every single time I do one of these public YouTube videos, I'm going to give out 1/2 off single asset analysis to the first person that emails me and makes payment. Okay, that's still going on. So if you want to take advantage of that, just email me, make payment, and you can have a single asset analysis for half price, $82.50. The regular price is $165. All right. Last but not least, I have exchange partners, KCEX, Weeks, Femex. These exchange partners are primarily leverage trading exchanges. It's for professional traders, people who know how to manage risk expertly. And remember, when you're going to see this big altcoin move, you're going to see the magnitude of it. You don't need leverage to take advantage of it. You don't need leverage to make it off of a move or off of a market that's giving you those kinds of gains. But, for my leverage traders, if you want to take advantage of, the new bonus offers that these exchange partners offer me to give you, right, as an affiliate, then, click on the links below. Again, I work with Weeks, KCEX, and Femex. Those exchanges I've worked with for a decent amount of time. They have been pretty upright with me. I've worked with a lot of exchanges over my, 10-year career, 10 plus year career, and a lot of them are criminals, like straight up criminals, like they engage in professional crime. And that's not an exaggeration. So I happily talk about KCEX, Femex, and Weeks. I really don't care how many people sign up or how many people don't sign up, but I'm happy to talk about the exchanges that I believe are operating on the up and up in a market that has so much seedy, underhanded activity. So that's it for me. Take care. Bye.